Before social media, this is how we knew where everyone was at. Yep, and you didn't have to post every moment of your life. You just had to live life. Gen Z, you don't understand how bad words hurt. Literally everyone born before 1995. Falcons can live to be 12 to 15 years old. All falcons alive today were born in the 21st century. They are millennial falcons. After school in the 80s. How many of you all heard this? Don't sit too close to the TV. You're gonna ruin your eyes. 40 years later. I just replaced my old burn barrel. It literally had burnt in half. I took his photo of my brand new one. This was its first burn. I was walking through the sporting goods section of Walmart and happened to see this. Looks like they brought the old style boxes back. Too bad they don't still have the power that they used to. I'm pretty sure the Scantron sheets are the reason I have carpal tunnel syndrome now. Guys, why am I getting this popping up on my phone? This just ain't right, man. The 1980s, when grilled cheese sandwiches came in a box. I took this photo about a month ago. I was taking my dad to one of his doctor's appointments, and we happened to pass this in the hallway. And yes, it is still a functional payphone. I can't remember the last time I saw a payphone, let alone one that actually worked. Gen X, when someone decides to test my crazy, and they don't understand that I've made it an art form. New crispy taters. Are they French fries that taste like potato chips? Or are they potato chips that look like French fries? Did they cast this guy later as Wilson on Home Improvement? The middle school notebook. This is for all you millennials. I can't remember what the name of those things are supposedly called. But there's two main things wrong with this. One, it's not drawn right, as the two ends are actually supposed to be connected back to the center. But two, why in the world would you get this as a tattoo? I don't understand how people are so careless about something that's going to be permanent on their body. I guess he's going to make sure that he can't miss. But he better hold on to the end of that stock really good, or he may not have to worry about having any more kids. Motocross bikes. 20-inch bike with chrome-plated frame and color-coordinated plastic fenders. I don't remember any of my bikes having a chain guard. How many of you guys remember these? How many of you know what's under this cover? This is actually my dad's. I was up in the loft of my barn the other day and happened to come across it and thought I'd take a couple photos. If you think you know what it is, pause the video and drop your guess down in the comments. Is that your final answer? If you said it's a high-speed cassette tape duplicator, you would be correct. You'd put your original master tape on the left-hand side, you'd put your blank empty tape on the right-hand side, and you'd hit start. And in about 60 seconds, this thing would make a copy of your original tape and rewind it back to the beginning, ready to play. And you would think duplicating a cassette tape at that kind of speed would really degrade the quality. But actually, it didn't degrade at all. They sounded really great, as long as you used good tapes. Is the Bandit Forrest Gump's daddy? That's an interesting question. Kids these days will never know the struggle. You didn't have this problem with the Walkman cassette players, but when they moved to the CD players, it always seemed like your pocket just wasn't quite big enough. When I was a kid, there were no phones or tablets. We read cereal boxes at breakfast. Yeah, that, and they usually had some kind of little puzzle game. When you tell people that when you were a kid, you had a pet kitty cat. When you lose your train of thought mid-sentence. All too often. This was always the best way to ride. Life before streaming meant needing a membership to rent a movie. Also late fees. Pretty much everything about Blockbuster, actually. I still had my Blockbuster membership card up until just a couple years ago. Not exactly sure what happened to it. My body after doing absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, some days. And you know the guy there on the right's Gen X, because he's only complaining about a sore neck when actually half of his shoulder is missing. My mother-in-law riding a bear at 2 years old. Fortunately, I haven't had to deal with any of these. New Gen X members got inducted when they were really young. You'll never forget your first boombox. That may be true, but it certainly wasn't that one. That's like what, 2005, 2010, maybe even newer. Back when soft drinks were advertised to give to babies. Yeah, because you wanted them bouncing off the walls all night from that pure liquid sugar. No more soggy cereal. I'd actually like to have this bowl. What I always do with my banana and cornflakes is put the cereal in a bowl and I put my milk in a cup. I tilt the bowl over to one side and just add a little milk at a time. That way my cornflakes never get soggy. The arcade classics. Now playing on home computers everywhere. The only actor to be killed by a Predator, Terminator, and Xenomorph. Remember these at the mall? I think everyone loved Orange Julius. Hey, what someone said that they should put these in Gen X retirement centers. The biggest lie of my childhood. Pushing does nothing. Nope, never did. There are people alive today that have never known the joy of shopping for music at a cool music store. Life before Google Maps. You know, it's pretty bad these days that kids don't understand that GPS is a fairly new thing. And they can't comprehend how we could possibly use a paper map to know where we were going. The worst part is, they still make paper road maps. I just bought a Rand McNally US Road Atlas last year, which has pretty good detail about all the roads in each state. Don't get me wrong, I like GPS. But if your phone dies, or if something happened that the phones or GPS just stopped working, most of the people today that was in the middle of a trip wouldn't know how to get to where they were going, or even how to get back where they came from. A man dual wielding raw steaks slaps diners in the face at vegan restaurant, yelling, "If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding." If you know what he's quoting, punch a bunch of keys and drop your answers below. Here's the original Kraft Squeeze-A-Snack cheese. This came long before that they started putting cheese in a can. When I was a kid, this is how we made a playlist. Why every kid should have an apple after school. This is also another good example of how many Gen X items do you remember in this photo? The more you look, the more you see. Open up! It's the police! Prove it! How? Sing Roxanne. I'm at the age where my mind firmly believes I'm 29. My humor suggests I'm 12, and my body possibly unalived in the Civil War. 1980. In 2024, we'll have flying cars. 2024. Do not eat this wrapper. You know what the worst part is? They had to put that on the wrapper for a reason. Some people call it the peel on a sandwich. Trying to hear the worker on the intercom at the drive-thru as a 30-plus-year-old person. And yes, millennials, this covers you too. If you've ever had your beat with one of these, then you're probably not a they-them. Yes, as more and more people stopped correcting their children, the faster society has declined. And at this point, it's not just in free fall, it's in a full-powered nosedive. I'm 59 and just found this amongst my mother's stuff. Is my child stupid? Well, it took you 50 years to find it, so I actually showed the cover of this book in a past episode. Remember the feral kid in Mad Max? This is that kid now. Now that's just funny. Kids today. Mom, can I have my iPad back? Me as a kid. The mines are calling, and I must dig. You know, as Gen Xers, we always talk about how much tougher we were than these younger generations. And while that is true, a lot of you boomers and even silent generation guys that watch this channel know that your generations were even tougher. My dad was born in '41. When he was 7 years old, he helped my grandfather shoot dynamite in a little bitty coal mine that was on their farm. My grandfather was a fairly short man, but even he had to walk on his knees to get in this little 4-foot-high tunnel where he mined this small vein of coal. He built a wooden cart that ran on wooden tracks. They'd shoot the dynamite at the end of the day and go back the next morning to be able to pick up the coal and put it in the cart. He'd take it and sell it just to get a few dollars. Just one of the many things that my grandfather did in order to feed the family and keep the farm going. When your parents would record the good movies from TV onto a videotape. How many of you guys actually called them VHS tapes? We never did. Everyone I knew just called them videotapes. Don't piss off the guy with the backhoe. You know this guy was Gen X. You can just feel the sarcasm. That is a pretty nice truck, though. My organs watching me take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen on an empty stomach and chase it with 2 energy drinks. I try not to take too much ibuprofen, but I take way too much Tylenol and Excedrin migraines. And yes, some days I basically do chase it with an energy drink. And that's just to be able to get out of bed in the morning. What's the first game that comes to mind? Tetris. What games you guys think of? Drop it down in the comments. Your pronoun is dumb. It's gender neutral. That is a perfect meme. I like how there's just one guy in Rolling Stones that dresses like a regular 77-year-old man. He looks like he just got back from Kmart. When you realize that 2024 is as far away from 1980 as 1936 was. Yeah, that's just not right. I hate math like this more and more every day. Gen Z, carried off the court with a leg cramp. Gen X, unalives on the bench, is revived and asked to be put back in the game. I can't believe how some people these days claim that LeBron would beat Michael Jordan. Jordan could beat him even today. Anyway, does any of you remember about this hockey player? I think his name was Rich. He flatlined for a couple of minutes. They carried him out into a hallway and was able to revive him. I think the game got postponed because of it. I don't know if they ever said what actually caused it. Sears Wish Book for the 1980 holiday season. How many of you guys remember just sitting and looking through these big, thick catalogs for hours? How many of you guys know that these catalogs are actually a collector's item now? Some of them sell for ridiculous prices. I got the toy I wanted, said no one ever. That's true. When they put the carpet on the floors, the walls, and even the countertops. That way they never had to repaint. And it always used these kind of patterns because they'd hide almost all the stains and stuff. I'm so old school, my first game console had wood grain paneling. I showed a similar Atari back on, it was a past episode. And there was somebody in the comments claimed that the photo was fake, that there was never wood grain panel on an Atari. If you guys remember wood grain paneling on your Atari, drop it down in the comments. When you get that perfect photo op. Gen X, when someone decides to test my crazy and they don't understand that I've made it an art form. Kraft pineapple cheese spread. That's just wrong in so many ways. That's probably where pineapple on pizza started. Share this video if you remember this game. Earth will be destroyed in 12 minutes to make way for a hyperspace bypass. Should you hitchhike into the next galaxy, or stay and drink a beer? Back in my day, we didn't wear helmets. We just lie there unconscious until someone came to get us for dinner. Group projects be like, let's see, which one had to do all the work? The rich kid of the 90s starter pack. It's Is My Life. John Bovey. Again, how do people so carelessly get something put on their body that is so permanent? Yes, technically these days they can be removed, but it costs a whole lot more to have it taken off than it does to have it put on. This was the peak of humanity. It never got any better after this guy. We should have just stopped right there. Although this was in the 90s, this was a pretty good one. These things ended up being in stores everywhere. This thing was actually pretty funny. Your phone is connected to this sound system. What's the first song you're playing? Punch a bunch of keys in the correct order and drop your answers down in the comments. Noise ordinance enforced because modern music sucks. I agree with this for the most part, especially mainstream music. Just about the only new music that I listen to is some of the artists here on YouTube, as a lot of them actually make good songs, where a lot of mainstream music has went PC and woke. They should really bring Radio Shack back. I used to go there all the time. Rest in peace, 1980s. Ain't it funny how back in the day, we always talked about how realistic the graphics were getting on a lot of different games? Sidewalk shoe skates or clamp-on skates. At one point, I had the clamp-on skate there in the middle, number 7. They looked exactly like that one. Who misses the 80s? The guy on the left doesn't stand a chance. The guy on the right has the Osborne 1 briefcase computer. Basically, this was one of the first laptops. You would listen to the radio all day long just to record your favorite song of all time on a tape. Yes, we did. What is burning CDs? I was there 3,000 years ago. Click on one of the videos above to help support the channel. Please hit that like button and subscribe. I thank you all for watching. This is Akorn, over and out.